The proceeds are all going to the flood victims in eastern Kentucky and the tornado victims in western Kentucky. So I thank you for being here. I told the officials I won't say a word. No one's fouling out. They can call all the fouls they want to call. It doesn't matter to me. And let's all have some fun. Thanks, folks.
For the first time in Kentucky basketball history, the Wildcats of UK will Norse up. Playing tonight here at Truist Arena on the campus of Northern Kentucky University. It is the annual Blue-White game. Dick Gabriel, Cameron Mills, glad to have you along. John Calipari just now addressing the crowd, thanking them for being here, thanking head coach Darren Horn of Northern Kentucky University for allowing the Wildcats to use this facility. And more than anything, Cameron Mills thanking the folks for buying tickets and the proceeds going to the flood victims of eastern Kentucky and the tornado victims of western Kentucky.
Well, last year you and I got to see how special it was being at the Blue-White game down in Pikeville, where a lot of the flooding took place. This year going to Northern Kentucky, but adding the tornado victims, as Kentucky certainly has had a rough couple years. And I love the way Coach Cal starts it off by basically saying, it's about basketball, but it's also about what your tickets that you bought here represent and helping other people in this state. And you got to say this about Cal. Every year there's something. He finds a cause to get behind him and to get his team behind.
He gives back. There's no question about it. Like him or not, like his coaching or not, like his team or not, he not only finds a way to give back, but he's public about it. Some people have a problem with that, Cameron, but
with what?
With being so public about movements like that, not just doing it quietly behind the scenes, but he's trying to set an example.
Right, and he says that, and I've heard that from a lot of people, but to me what matters the most in that example that he's setting are the 15 or so young men he was alluding to earlier, because that's what I think of is, okay, this is what your coach is teaching you on the court when it comes to basketball, but what are they teaching you off the court? Because they've got just as much influence, and that's what Cal's always done well with his kids. He's taught them, look, you're going to be professional, you're going to have money, you're going to have to give some of it away, and that's who you need to be as a person, and that's what he's teaching.
John Calipari, by the way, Reed Sheppard introduced as a Kentucky Wildcat. That happened during Madness, so this isn't the first time. But all the Wildcats are being introduced, the blue team, the white team. But
even some that probably aren't going to play tonight.
Well, I was about to say, there's DJ Wagner, who likely will be the starting point guard this year. But Calipari talked about this 21 feet worth of big man that will be on the sidelines tonight. We saw Big Z warming up, stretching, shooting. You like the shooting form.
I love the shooting form.
But he won't play tonight.
No, but he has practiced for the last 3 days up until yesterday. And we were told before the game starts that his not playing today.
Speak of the devil.
Yep. His not playing today has nothing to do with NCAA rules or NCAA not saying.
Eligibility.
Eligibility's got nothing to do with that. That still hasn't been cleared yet. As
he could have played tonight.
He could have played in this because it's an exhibition.
Right.
But the last 3 days of practice, remember, these were his first 3 days of practice as a Wildcat.
After all that
and I can attest, your first 3 days are not the easiest 3 days. Your first 3 weeks aren't the easiest 3 weeks. So he's a little banged up, so I think Coach is kind of keeping him out today. But as you said, and you and I saw this in practice yesterday, this is going to be a blue-white game basically with a bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Yeah.
We're not going to have any 4s or 5s, I don't think. Maybe you can count Trey because I think he had to play Mitchell had to play that in Toronto a little bit. But we're going to see a whole bunch of guard play today, which, let's be honest, that's where the real basketball game is anyway.
Onyenso, who played briefly in Canada before he was injured and had to be taken in for surgery. So he is close to being ready. We're just not sure how close. We saw Walker Horn introduced, and that was interesting because, of course, his dad is the head coach here, and Walker moved down to Westlake High School in Texas, Austin, when Dad was working down there on the University of Texas campus. And then, of course, Walker spent a couple of years up here in Northern Kentucky. So a special moment for him to be introduced in this arena.
It was funny. I asked Walker when I got some time with him, talked to all the players, but I asked him about, okay, so your dad's a D1 coach. No desire to play there? He goes, no, I'm playing at Kentucky. I said, okay, I get it. just wanted to ask you about it.
And Antonio Reeves, the gray beard, the OG, the man that the players texted nonstop.
Yep.
Hey, come back for another year. We need you. And there's the coach.
That's 14.4 points a game in Antonio Reeves that I think we forget about last year. He was sixth man, okay. He didn't make it to the pros. That's why he's back, and it's easy for us as fans to look at and say, okay, well, do we really want him back? Yes, of course we do. He's 14.5 points per game from last year.
And in talking to the players before the trip to Canada, and this might be the high point of the evening for some folks, they're catching T-shirts. Look at Aaron Bradshaw right in front of us.
Can I tell you, Aaron, again, just interviewing Aaron. And again, and for people who don't know this, Dick does, but I got to interview. I got to sit down for about 15 minutes with every single player except Z, because he wasn't with us yet.
And you don't speak Croatian.
I do not, and I'm not sure about his English yet. So we may have.
No, it's pretty good.
But we are going to get to talk. But interviewing Aaron Bradshaw, for someone who you've got the foot injury, right? That
Yep.
you know we all know he's recovering from, but he shows up to his school that he picked, Hart. And you've not seen anybody with more. Look at him over there. I mean, he's got an amazing attitude. And the thing that I love the most about what he said was he mentioned in his interview randomly. I didn't ask him about it. He just said something about when we lose.
Yeah.
And my eyes went up. I'm like, whoa. You're talking about a team that, well, 10 years ago we were talking 40-0, and that's all we were talking about. And here you are as a player referring to a loss that hasn't happened yet. And he said, yeah, but it will. And for a young man,
put that in context. Why he was talking about that?
Because he's played basketball. He knows this game. This is not a 40-0 kind of game.
Right. But he was also talking about how they're going to handle the adversity.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. So it was going to be because we were talking about how much all these guys get along, how much they love each other. But what he brought up is, but that's now.
Yes.
When we lose, are we going to love each other? And I'm like, what do you mean when you lose? He goes, we're going to lose. I'm like, well, I know you are. I'm just glad you know you are.
It was Jordan Burks and Trey Mitchell at the center jump. So those are the two biggest guys on the court. Here's a big guy right there, Thiero, and Sheppard firing away early. And he had such a great trip to Canada. Cameron, his all-around game. And the one thing that doesn't surprise either one of us was he was scoreless in his first game. And he kept saying, I didn't have a good game, but he did.
He did. He had a great game. I think he led the team in assists, steals, maybe even blocks. Because I think he was second on blocks. But he had a great game. He just didn't shoot the ball well. Second, third game, he certainly did.
There he is with the interception, leading the break. And Thiero from the corner. And we saw him bombs away yesterday all day.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in practice yesterday where dude's at the top of the key. I think Jordan Burks was at the top of the key. Both of them just raining threes. Uncontested, but just raining threes in.
John Calipari talked about the fact that Mitchell and Thiero can hit the three, so you may see that more.
Well, did we see that at all last year? I mean, I can't think of a shot that a dude took outside the three-point line, and he pulled that one up like he'd been doing it all summer.
He was 3 of 9 last year from the arc. By the way, the officials, Steven Anderson, Michael Anderson, Courtney Green, they have been told by John Calipari, you may have heard there in the pregame, call whatever you want, he's not going to say a word. Do you believe that?
I think what he said was no one's fouling out. You can call as many fouls as you want,
true too,
but nobody's coming over to sit on the bench.
I think we had somebody last year with 8 fouls.
Yeah, I think we did too, as a matter of fact.
Antonio Reeves.
Let's talk about the freedom that gives these players, though, to play defense. Good, hard defense.
Yes. Yeah, in the blue-white game.
Just grabbing jerseys and hacking people.
SEC Sixth Man of the Year, Antonio Reeves, averaged 28 minutes a game. And at one point they wondered, are we playing him too many minutes or are we going to start him too many times where he won't be eligible for the award? But he came on strong for the Wildcats last year, no question. Had that unfortunate game in the final game of the season in the NCAA tournament. But, well, that game he had against Arkansas, there's Thiero again.
And again, Thiero did not hesitate. I mean, he's looking for his shot.
Brennan Cannon in the starting lineup for the white team. Ill-advised behind the back for Edwards. Here's Dillingham. Oh, between the legs. How about the look?
You hear it all the time. These guys have talked about how unselfish they are and how much they love playing together, and a piece of it right there.
And Burks comes back down, and Short circuits the run out by Trey Mitchell, but he'll go to the free throw line.
Well, something that these cats have to learn is you just see on the replay, right, immediately they get the ball in and throw it full court, even on a made basket. There's no time to celebrate in a blue-white game. There's no time to celebrate in an SEC game. You make a basket, you got to get back on D because they're running, whoever they are.
As you mentioned, Cameron got to talk to every one of these guys. I really enjoy talking to this young man, but you talk about somebody who's been around the block. A couple of years at UMass, did very well there, Rookie of the Year. Then a season at Texas, and then to West Virginia. But Bob Huggins had to step down, so next thing you know, he's in Lexington.
And you're right. He was fun to talk to because he sounds like the upper statesman of this group.
Yep.
He has been to, 4 different schools now, played high-level basketball, but he just talks the right way, too.
And what I like about him, Cameron, if he's in the high post, he's such a good passer.
Well, and then I think you hear a lot of his teammates talk about the way he shoots too, because I think one of the common questions was, "What's the one teammate that you have that you're like, I'm thankful for his skills?" And about all of them said Trey's shooting.
I'll do Thiero with a putback, and that's going to be a question mark, I think, this year until the Wildcats settle in with the entire roster, is rebounding. The group you see on the floor, you can't expect dominant board work tonight, at least. And I say that, and Trey Mitchell gets a putback, but when they settle in, he'll be a 4 or a 3, but they'll need him to rebound.
You're right. But see, if you're talking as a coach, you're looking at Trey, all right, great offensive rebound, but then where was the defensive rebound? That's why coaches are never happy.
Nope. It's like talking to Mark Stoops after a scrimmage preseason. He's always unhappy with somebody, but that's his job.
That's right.
Every coach is that way. Edwards rejected on his trip to the bucket. Shot clock still moving.
Good skip pass.
Yep. There's that outside shot, Trey Mitchell.
And great pass by Brendan Canada right there to look. He looked, he faked the ball, looked once, looked twice, and found the skip pass from the man going all the way. So it's a quick reversal of the basketball.
We're going to have a hard time keeping you up to speed on scoring tonight because our internet, quite frankly, keeps coming and going. Rob Dillingham inside. Will head for the free throw line. Rob, the number 13 prospect overall last year, the Isaac Iverson Classic crossover winner. An exciting play. What a great handle.
Yeah. You know, we talk about the big men we're missing, but what we are getting to see tonight are basically, it's not necessarily the core of the team, but, man, we've got so many good guards on this team. And Dillingham certainly is one of them.
Mitchell kicks to Canada.
Now, see, this matters to me because we're playing in a position right now where, again, we've got guys who are going to play in the regular season over on the bench with injuries. Guys like Brendan Canada getting a chance to play right now. Airball's his first shot. What's he do on his second one? Because these are the kind of games where if you don't get a lot of clock, you can get in and start playing and building a lot of confidence, and that's going to matter.
Wagner versus Reed Sheppard takes advantage of the size. And DJ Wagner gives the blue team the lead. Dillingham on the move. You're going to see a lot of that from him this year, Cameron, getting to the rim.
A lot of it, especially, and not necessarily from the point guard position. He'll be playing a lot of 2 and be able to take the 2 defender quickly to the basket because he's got that good of dribbles.
Joey Hart's guys for the rebound. Averaged 23 points per game last year as a high school senior.
Dillingham starting to fill it.
Yep. John Calipari's message yesterday in practice over and over, shoot the basketball. Now, he didn't mean bad shots, but with the dribble drive offense, 3 things can happen. I'm going to get that basketball. It's not high enough, darn it. He said if you shoot it, you can make it, you can miss it, and the other guys get the rebound, or you can miss it and we get the rebound. So 2 out of 3 times, something good is going to happen.
Every year, I feel like at this time of year, at least, let me go back the last 2 years. I've been to a few other practices, but the last 2 years definitely. And that is like his constant message to every team. And I don't know if it's because these guys come in and they're like deferring to each other because there usually is so much talent that's coming
yesterday, don't be afraid to miss.
Yeah. Because, okay, look at who else you've got on your team. I mean, if you got 5 guys, okay, that made the top 25 consensus in recruiting and the number 1 overall recruiting class, and then actually you got 2 other guys to that class, plus you got Trey Mitchell. You got a lot of scores on this team. So even if you come in as a highly touted blue blood, it's going to be easy for you to kind of unconsciously take a back seat to some of these other guys and not be so aggressive when it comes to shooting, scoring, or anything like that. And that's what Coach Cal doesn't want. He wants these guys being aggressive.
That's Darren Horn, of course, the Northern Kentucky coach, addressing the crowd. Like my broadcast partner, had a pretty nice high school career, a Tates Creek Commodore. Has been a head coach at Western Kentucky, at South Carolina. I mentioned he worked at the University of Texas. And now here at Northern Kentucky University. And what he's hoping is that a lot of these folks who live in the area who might be wearing blue and white come back and Norse up.
You know, it's funny, you think about, and of course, there's the connection with Darren in Lexington. Darren and his son Walker, of course, playing for Calipari, like we just talked about. But, you know, and I don't think a lot of people understand, and you wouldn't unless you were around it and you see it, because even as a player, I didn't see it so much until afterwards. Some of these coaches, there's rivalries, but there's also a lot of good friendships.
Yes.
And a lot of these guys have so much respect for each other that you've got Darren Horn willing to open up his court to another Division I university, and then and now he's up here talking about how great Coach Cal is. And I believe every word he's saying. It is sincere, and that's how they feel about each other.
Keep in mind, that's a man who, as a kid, went to the University of Kentucky basketball camps.
Yep. That's one way to get to play basketball at the University of Kentucky. Go to camp a lot if you can. Worked for me.
So the Wildcats in white and in blue have broken a sweat. They're loose now. We'll see what happens. I don't see any lineup changes for either. Thiero, Sheppard, Dillingham, Burks, Hart for the blue team. Wagner, Edwards, Reeves, Brennan Canada, and Trey Mitchell. Cameron, is that a zone I see? No, they're following
There's no
through.
chance.
All right. Well, Calipari used the Z word, and he didn't mean the 7-footer, but I don't think we'll see much at all this year. Clearly not tonight.
If that is a zone, there's no chance it is, because he wouldn't have put it in this early anyway.
Exactly. Edwards trying to work his way to the basket, but
and the little things that Antonio does to get those 14 and a half points a game. It's not just shooting.
Well, that's what the NBA scouts told him. You need to work on your overall game. Defense, ball handling, rebounding. By all accounts, he's done that, but it is way early. There's Reed Sheppard. How about that form, Coach?
It's not bad. Looked pretty good. What I loved is the confidence that play was called for him. That was just a throwaway screen the screener. And Reed came off that screen ready to shoot.
Boy, quick hands by Dillingham. Harassing Edwards.
That was a great.
Guess who pops out?
Great ball screen, Reed, by Antonio. I mean, he read that exactly right. That was not a curl, that was a fade, and he knew it.
Well, that's a battle going on between Edwards and Dillingham. He got a piece of that shot. Now the white team is going to see Reeves go to the free throw line, but that started with good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the other thing. So this is something that Dillingham has to work on. He is a great penetrator. He can get to the lane, but now he's got to make the smart decision about it. If he doesn't have a shot, don't force one, because, again, as Cal said yesterday, you bring the ball into the lane, and that defense is collapsing. One of your teammates is going to be open.
23 points per game down the stretch for Antonio Reeves last year. As Cameron said, averaged 14.4. He averaged 23 a game in Canada, too. And north of the border, 18 of 32. Wildcats, the gold medal winners in the Global Jam. Hart, that's why he came to Kentucky.
And
John Calipari needed a shooter.
And I know these fans love to see that, because Cal has talked about it over and over again, getting shooters in. We have heard, you and I have, that this team definitely can do it. But to see somebody like him pull up and immediately, same way Reed did a few minutes ago, with all the confidence in the world, he knew what his job was right there.
Reeves coming around to pick again, but this time fans to Mitchell. Edwards. Here comes Dillingham. He's got one gear, doesn't he? Trey Mitchell on the rebound. Can handle it.
Yep.
Kick out to Reeves. Mitchell keeps it alive. We didn't miss many of those.
So
Thiero leading the charge. He was a guard in high school for a while. Reed Sheppard again.
Reed just hitting shots. Have you noticed this? I've noticed it especially on the white team, and not that I haven't noticed on the blue team, but I know especially on the white, there's a lot of unselfishness. Guys drawing, penetrating, drawing the defense to them, and then giving it up for making that extra pass.
Trey Mitchell can hit that shot. He's another guy we saw hitting all day yesterday from beyond the arc. Look at Sheppard go up, but Brennan Canada pulls it down.
He's got his dad's jeans.
Oh, yeah.
It makes DJ Wagner so difficult is that body control he has. He's going to go in, draw the foul, and now he's still got the ball over here that you can't block. He'll throw it up and put it in with a lot of touch.
So Wagner takes a spill, but
for the white team shooting to end one.
Watch these guys play, especially when just the ability they have to blow by their defender on the perimeter, and which is a problem we have had on the defensive end the last few years is containing the perimeter. But just to have a group of guys like this, I mean, it's going to be awfully hard to stop DJ, Rob, Reed. I mean, these guys can handle the ball, and they know how to put you in prison to put you behind them and their backs.
White team only 6 of 18 from outside, trailing 23-17. Blue team is 9 of 18. Thiero working on Edwards. Boy, he muscled that up.
That's a lot of ball and body control by Adu.
Put on weight, put on good weight. Mitchell again. You know, after the first game up in Canada, John Calipari, that's Dillingham hitting. John Calipari meeting with us, the media, afterwards. The first name out of his mouth was Adu Thiero. He was so excited at what he saw in the sophomore swingman. And Dillingham almost had himself a run out. And based on what we saw in warm-ups, that would have been a fun dunk.
Yeah. A lot of fun watching these guys play, especially, again, just the camaraderie that you're seeing them build in a game like this. Again, Aaron Bradshaw being Aaron Bradshaw. He's just fun.
He is.
He really is. I mean, just talking to him, he wasn't serious about anything.
Now, when you asked these guys about interest off the floor, was he one of the guys you talked about fishing or drawing?
Aaron is a drawer, as is DJ Wagner, and there are two other guys that I remember that it wasn't even that they loved art, it was that they specifically drew. That's what they did to get away from the game. But yeah, I think Aaron was one of the ones. Actually, Aaron and Reed were one of the ones that laughed at the mere idea of video games when I said you can't use video games as an answer. The two of them were like, video games, that's not what I do. The rest of us, so we had guys that were let's see, we had Reed who wants to spend all his time outdoors other than playing ball, and then we got 4 or 5 of them that have picked up fishing, which I thought most of them had been fishing their whole life. Turns out they've been fishing for about 3 months, but it's what they do as a team together.
But not as a huge group, right?
No, because that'll scare the fish, Dick. That's not how you don't go fishing in large groups. You go fishing in groups of 3.
You never really went in a little deeper on those interviews. I kept waiting to hear you ask about bait. You know, what do you use?
I think I did ask Adu about what's the biggest fish you ever caught, and that got him talking about wanting to deep sea fish, but being afraid to deep sea fish, and then he had a laundry list of reasons why.
Well, one of them was how hard it is.
Well, it was, but then as you dug, as a journalist, you know this. As you dig a little more, you start to realize, oh no, he's afraid of sharks. Well, he eventually admitted it.
Former Kentucky AD Sam Newton was an avid bone fisherman, loved to fish for the bonefish. And I asked him once, he had his place down in the Bahamas. I said, what about deep sea fishing? That looks like catching those. He goes, heck no, too much work. So you go to fish and relax, and then you end up battling a fish for 4 hours.
For hours, yeah.
And you take a picture and throw him back.
If you're battling for hours, it's got to be a certain type of fish before they're throwing it back.
Yeah. So the blue team with the 10-point lead now. At basically immediate timeout. As you saw, we are not taking commercial breaks here on SEC Plus. Dick Gabriel, Cameron Mills at Truist Arena.
Rob Dillingham
frustrated. Northern Kentucky.
Frustrated that Cal's coaching the white team right now.
Why are you helping them?
I think Rob's got to get used to what happens in blue-white games here.
Well, the other thing, too, the white team needs it. They're down 10 points.
It may have been Rob's real frustration is why are we helping them?
So it's Wagner versus Sheppard again. Here comes Edwards. Mitchell posting up on Burks. And a kick out. And it works.
That's good basketball. In and out, especially with DJ moving. He moved out to the wing and then made eye contact with Trey and met him in the corner, and he found him for the open three.
DJ Wagner, son of Dewan, grandson of Milt, the former Louisville Cardinal national champion.
The way Rob handles the ball, he's not going to be a point guard because he's not necessarily gifted at getting a team in the offense, but boy, he can beat anybody off the dribble.
But Mitchell had a sliver, but even more open, Antonio Reeves. And he's feeling it now. He was in double figures last year 26 times.
Well, we could say at least the blue team, right? Almost 60% from the three-point line. They've shot 7 of them, 4 of 7, 57%.
Antonio hit 40% during the regular season last year from the arc. Approaching the 10-minute mark, Dillingham gets inside again. There's no answer for that.
And I could have told you the moment he caught that ball on the little screen give and go up here on the right-hand side that he was going into that lane one way or the other. He's just feeling it right now. From inside, outside, he's going to go to the basket.
Blue team up. And unforced error by Trey Mitchell.
And maybe one where you've got two guys, because we'll see a lot of this year, where you've got two guys who have not played any ball together whatsoever. Because a lot of new guys on this team, whether transfer or freshmen.
They did get the head start up in Canada and surprised really everybody, I think it's fair to say, by just how well they played together.
Yeah.
That's Burks. Well, the crowd was waiting on that dunk. Edwards on the move. There's Reed Sheppard making his life miserable for a moment. But he got away.
That's one of the things you'll get. And everybody talks about Reed's passing, Reed's shooting, Reed's ball handling, but it's Reed's defense that's sneaky. So Dillingham is just on fire.
Of Tony Delp.
Yep.
A three-pointer drops. He hits the floor. And now he has a chance at a 4-point play just like your teammate did in the 96 title game. But Dillingham caught contact. Yeah. Tony today will say he might have deserved an Oscar for the flop that he took.
Having been literally,
you had a good look at
I was 10 feet away from it, right? He got hit. He didn't get hard, but he got hit. Define a foul. What level of pressure is a foul? You got a guy in the air, somebody undercuts him, it's a foul. But let's be clear, we didn't need the 4 points to win that game because we won by, I believe, 7.
But so at the time it happened,
you take that away, then we win by 3.
At the time it happened, you certainly did need it. Game was hanging in the balance, my friend.
No one was complaining that shot went in.
35-25, Blue back on top by 10. I got to credit the blue team defense. Nothing's come too easily for the white team. There's Mitchell. Mismatch, but they can't take advantage.
Great skip.
Not a good look, but Edwards couldn't get it to fall. And another rebound for Reed Sheppard. No look. That's the All-American step, Cameron.
Now,
you can get away with that one.
That's all you do is get away with walking these days in college basketball. One little thing I just noticed right there, Reed Sheppard coming down, because Reed's playing point for the blue, right? He's got a hot hand in Rob Dillingham on his team playing the 2. And Reed made that skip pass. Wasn't a bad pass, but looked immediately to Rob, basically say, my bad, because he knows, I got the hot hand on my team, that's who I need to be feeding.
Well, the white team right now cannot buy one. Here's Thiero on the run out, takes the big step and draws the foul.
And that's the strength, just to be able to get that shot up there. But I love the way Adu attacked the basket on that. He didn't bring it out. He attacked the basket. Even though it was 1-on-2, he went in and was going to get fouled.
Adu averaged 9.5 minutes per game last year. Up in Canada, 26 minutes, 7.5 points a game, nearly 6 rebounds per game in the Global Jam, 7 steals, 5 blocks. But Cameron, his assist-to-turnover ratio in Canada, 12-2.
It's so absurd. So we used to, the goal for our point guards was a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, not a 6-to-1, 3-to-1. 3-to-1 was like Hall of Fame is what Coach used to say. And then we've had some players since then with 6-to-1, 7-to-1. I think Euless even had an 11-to-1 game.
Yep. I think that was what was really so remarkable. Nice steal by Dillingham. About the Global Jam were the assists on made field goals. Adu Thiero with a follow slam.
The first dunk we've had, isn't it?
Yep. They've tried a couple others, but that's the first one that went down. Blue extending the lead. Wagner trying to do what he can. There's Canada. But a whistle prior.
Blue team foul called against number
And a timeout on the floor with the Blues 38, the Whites 25.
on the floor.
And it's been simply a matter of shots not falling on one end. And I think, though, the blue team doing a better job of creating shots.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're definitely seeing that. You're seeing a lot more ball movement, it seems like, on the white end, and they're just missing shots, right? I mean, they are, but there's a whole lot more, at least half-court ball movement. Down here, honestly, you take away Dillingham and what he's done, which is 17 points, this is a different game. Let's give him half that points. This is a different game. But he's just caught fire here, and this is what we were told he would do. That if he catches fire, he just keeps going, and it, like you said a few moments ago, it doesn't look like there's any way to stop him. What do you do? I mean, he's 5'0", it seems like, and yet he's in there amongst the tall towers, and not only able to control the ball and get it up over the basket, but he's able to put it in with spin.
Dillingham getting inside. He is 7 of 11. 1 for 2 from behind the arc. Has hit a couple of free throws, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, just the 1 turnover and the steal in 12 minutes. And because he's been able to hit 7 of 11, that's the biggest reason the blue team is hitting 57.7%, and the white team only 36.
So here's the lesson, though, or at least the thing to be watching for amongst all the freshmen, not just Rob Dillingham, okay? But when they go on a tear like this, right, in AAU ball, what do you think they're encouraged to do? Continue to go on the tear. Where Rob now, with 17 points in, how many minutes has he played? In 12 minutes, 17 points. Rob now has to know he's got the hot hand, but he still has to control his shots. He can't take bad ones. He's got to continue to take good ones, because that's what's led to the 17 points in the first place.
Don Calipari coming over to talk to some of the fans here courtside.
Working the crowd.
Adu Thiero with 10 points, 3 rebounds. Reed Sheppard likewise 3 rebounds along with 6 points. And for the white team, Antonio Reeves with 9 points, including a 3-pointer. Wagner with 8. But he is 3 for 9 from the floor.
White team also out-rebounding the blue team. So blue team's got him in points. Oh, looks like we're going to have a reset clock here now, too. Or no, they're resetting. There we go. Took the scoreboard down to 5 minutes left with 0-0 on the scoreboard, and then changed it back for us. You don't know what you're going to have at these blue-white games.
No. At one point,
we might do some 5-on-5 weave.
At one point, a couple of injuries in practice earlier this week, we thought we might see just a 4-on-4 kind of game today, but
and now we kind of see why, because I mean both teams, as near as I can figure out, have maybe one person on the bench that looks ready to play if they need to. I mean, Aaron Bradshaw's doing his best, but he's still got on his sweatpants, so he's got his jersey on like he's ready to play.
There may be a running clock in the second half. I think we had that last year.
Yes, we did. Yeah, that's correct.
And then some drills,
some fun shenanigans for the fans.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the drills that generally end up in dunks.
Well, I mean,
fans might like that.
That's why we're all here anyway, isn't it?
I know I am. Reeves can't buy that one. There's Thiero with rebound number 4 on the afternoon. The dish to Sheppard. And another pass.
Finds the
One
hot
more
hand.
pass.
That's right. So Sheppard had the shot. So that's what I was talking about a few minutes ago when you saw Reed and Rob look at each other and Reed acknowledge, I know, it's your ball, man. And that's what he did that time. He found Rob Dillingham open for the shot, even though he passed up an open one.
Dillingham's second triple. And once again, the Whites get into the lane but cannot get it to fall. I like to see a shot chart for the White team. Wagner trying to work his way in. Canada got loose.
Somebody forgot. All of a sudden, everybody was worried about the perimeter and forgot about Canada with the ball in the low post.
So Dillingham will work the point. Burks with a sweet move.
Great little fake, because again, where's everyone thinking the ball's going? It's going to Rob Dillingham, and Burks knows that, so he takes it on his own.
Edwards, the lefty, drops it. That's a young man who came alive the last couple of games up in Canada, let the games come to him. Thiero muscling his way in, but Edwards didn't give any ground.
No, he didn't, but I still like the way Adu is. I mean, he's put on some bulk, and he's now trying to figure out how to use that to get himself in the lane and to get easier shots.
Listed now at 222, 6'8". Reeves Sheppard. Wasn't quite ready for that.
No, he wasn't. He kind of came off and was fading a little bit as well.
Wagner. Got it to fall, caught the back iron, and DJ Wagner with his 10th point. Still a 12-point lead for the blue team.
So, bailed out, but a bad shot. That's
right
the shot,
on both counts.
That's the shot Rob can't take because it wasn't open, it wasn't there, and that's not how he's gotten his, what are we up to now, 20 points. But he's going to go for 23 now, bailed out by a bad foul. But that's where you got to contest, but don't touch the wrist and get that little baby foul call.
That was something else that Calipari talked about up in Canada with Dillingham. Basically said he has the keys to the Cadillac. He can shoot basically, and this is a broad term,
right,
whenever he wants, but he's got to make sure it's a good shot.
Exactly.
Got to know the difference between good and bad.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing here. We saw him, he found his easy shots, his good shots early. They started falling, and now all of a sudden he's, at least in the last couple of possessions, let's say, to be fair to him, he's maybe forced some shots that weren't there. But it hasn't been hard for him to find the easy ones.
22 now for Dillingham. Quick shot by Reeves. And that's the arrow again. How did he find Dillingham?
I don't know.
How did he find him?
He was looking over here towards us and somehow threw a one-handed three-quarter bounce pass to Dillingham, hit him right in stride.
Boy, Reeves has had some great looks. He just hasn't dialed it in yet.
But look, here's the thing. Now with this team, we got guys that can shoot. It's not just Antonio. So if Antonio has an off night, and this is the importance of having more than one guy that can fill it up, whether we're talking inside or out, is that you've got, okay, if he has an off night, somebody's going to have an on night.
Antonio 1 for 5 from beyond the arc, but as we mentioned earlier, he's been trying to find other ways to score. Go find a shot you can make.
A walk.
Yeah, he took a giant
still a law?
stride.
A rule? Is that a rule?
He took the giant stride along the baseline. That's how
I thought that was the Euro, the giant stride.
Well, we're not in Europe.
Play by their rules.
Mitchell rolls to the basket, but nothing there for him.
Well, you noticed the pick and roll, too. Remember last year, a lot of trouble guarding the pick and roll for the team as a whole.
Shooter's touch for Trey Mitchell. Give him 8 points to go along with 8 rebounds. White team still down 14. Good hands by the white team. Dillingham steals it right back. Thiero.
Adu's become a shooter over the summer. Look at a big smile on his face and everything.
That's his second triple. And the blue team is the first to 50 inside 4.5 minutes. The bump from Burks, or did they call a charge?
No, I think they called a charge.
They sure did.
Yeah, Adu standing in place, and Burks just kind of lowered his shoulder. Kind of. Played off well, though.
One of them kind of fouls.
One of them kind of fouls.
Yeah.
Really? Aren't all fouls a kind of foul?
No.
We're honest?
No.
I think we are. I think they are.
You once told me, and it might be legend, that you took a charge.
I took 2 in one game. What are you talking about?
So were they kind of fouls?
Huh? No, they were great calls.
Wagner cut off. There's Edwards. Going high to get it, Jordan Burks.
Look, they can miss them all they want, but I love the confidence that all of these guys are rising up and taking outside shots with, because what that means is they've got it done in practice.
And Reed Sheppard takes an extra step. But you saw where they had to honor him outside, even from 3 steps beyond the arc.
I mean, the moment you do that, you rise up and start shooting with confidence, whether you should or not. I've got to respect you as a defender. So if you're going to rise up that quick and shoot, then next time down the court, I can't suppose you're going to do it. I got to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're going to rise up and shoot another one. And if I'm not on you, then I'm coming over and sitting on the bench. So whether you shoot or not, just acting like you can, having that confidence makes a big, big difference in what the offense, how the defense is going to play you.
Reed Sheppard ranked number 22 overall among the high school prospects. Coming in this year, McDonald's All-American, of course, Mr. Basketball in the state of Kentucky. Helped the junior international team from Ohio win a championship. And was the MVP. Not only that, Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year. So he had a storied career here in the state of Kentucky, and yet so many question marks and drama about whether or not he would come to Kentucky. And, you know, was there some sort of bad blood between his dad, Jeff, and John Calipari? And, of course, it was pretty nonsensical.
It was all nonsensical.
Yeah, but when you saw how he played up in Canada, you could see why every team in the country wanted him.
Well, and that was the thing, is that everybody, especially because Reed had this transformation, his dad talks about, like, during COVID. We all did, right? Reed's transformation is he realized during that time when everything was shut down, he could be in the gym getting better. Right? It's one of those things that you hear Billy Donovan, guys talk about it, like what they used to do when they were laying in their, dorm room in their bed. They had their rival, they had their poster above on the ceiling, and they would look up and see that and think, what is he doing right now, and how is he improving his game? Well, that's what Reed did during COVID, because Jeff will tell you Reed was a good player before COVID, but during COVID, all of a sudden he started learning how to play at this level, meaning this isn't high school anymore. You can dominate high school, but can you dominate this level? And he started playing that hard in practice on his own. And basically, I'm going to imagine going through a lot of the individual instructions his dad went through under Coach Patino, because his dad was putting him through a lot of them.
17-point lead for the blue team, led by Dillingham's 24 points. He's also got 3 assists, 2 turnovers in 16 minutes. Adu Thiero now 13 points to go along with the 5 rebounds. Reeves still with those 9 points for the white team. And DJ Wagner has broken through to double digits now with 10 for the white team. He's got 3 offensive rebounds, Cameron, but they just haven't been able to turn it into much. 6 turnovers for the white team, 4 for the Blues.
And again, we see the screen and roll for DJ Wagner.
Boy, did he roll.
Well,
he rolled right to the bucket.
Reed got screened. Reed Sheppard got screened. Okay, he was on the ball, got screened, but then where was the help? I mean, exactly. DJ just went right to the basket.
A little too much French pastry on that pass by Dillingham.
And we talk about that, too, because remember, I said it a few minutes ago, last year, we struggled. We all know we struggled guarding the pick and roll. That's part of it. I mean, everyone wanted to blame Oscar. Part of it is the help defense.
Yep.
That's got to factor into it. And help defense involves the entire team, not just one player.
Coming up on the 3-minute mark here in the first half. Trey Mitchell. Edwards working the baseline and gets to the glass.
Love that play. I don't know what they call it, but I love that play where they send a pick baseline all the way around to turn around and screen the guy on the corner or on the block to free up the open 3 on the corner.
Edwards with that quick first step. He's only got 6, though. That's Burks trying to roll, but a pass rescued by Dillingham. Somehow gets the shot off. Fan it to Edwards, baseline again. Good hands by Thiero to knock it out of bounds.
It's one of those little things. We talked about Thiero and his ability to put on weight, his ability to practice hard, because all the guys love the way he practices. But just great hands like that to go down low instead of like a big guy try to block it up high. He's going to get it low.
20 seconds on the shot clock, and there's Dillingham breaking things up.
Like the way he shot on the outside of that screen.
Blue team up 13, is led by as many as 17.
Now we've seen some side out of bounds plays. Yesterday was, as far as I know, the way it sounded, the first time Coach Cow's really started putting in side out of bounds, under out of bounds at yesterday's practice. So
Reeves with a miss, but Edwards with a cleanup. That one sent a shock through this crowd here at Truist Arena on the campus of Northern Kentucky University. Holds about 8,900, Darren Horn told us. He's going to join us at halftime. Burks got away with a shuffle.
And a couple fouls there too, maybe.
Trey Mitchell saves it to, I won't say the cheap seats, to the good seats.
Yeah,
but it's
the
out of bounds.
expensive seats.
Yeah. Actually off the hands of one of the blue team members. So the white team will try to cut into this 11-point lead, try to get it into single digits. Well, you want to go down at halftime. You don't want to be up or down rather double digits. Too many bragging rights at stake.
Oh, and that is something this team does do. They love to compete against each other. As much as they talk about loving each other, they love to compete against each other as well.
Defense closing in on Reeves. 8 to shoot inside to Mitchell. And another turnover by the white team. Reed Sheppard walking it up for a change. Canada versus Joey Hart. Dillingham. 10
Now we
to
got to
shoot.
move it.
Nice dish, Jordan Burks.
And if you cannot be stopped getting to the lane, that's what you have to be willing to do. Got to draw the defense and look for your teammate.
Great look by Dillingham. 4 assists now. And a steal by Sheppard. Lob inside Burks.
Now, I don't know if you saw it coming down, but Reed made that great pass to Burks, and then the first person to congratulate him with a big smile on his face was Dillingham.
Wagner rejected. And now Edwards to the floor, battling with Thiero. They let him play through it. White team basketball, 20 seconds left, 13 on the shot clock, and a timeout called by the white team coaches, Chin Coleman, Orlando Antigua, to set some things up over on that white bench, as well as Onyenso. But you see some of the rim work done by these Wildcats, looking out for each other.
Yeah, I mean, and on separate teams too. Look, we got a blue team and a white team. It's all Kentucky though, and you even see some high fives, some congratulations going across the line, so to speak. I keep making a big deal about it, but I can't say it enough. Just talking to these guys, how much they genuinely like each other, and I feel like a broken record because I feel like I said the same thing last year, which isn't to say they didn't, but liking each other doesn't always mean. This goes back to the Aaron Bradshaw thing. Liking each other, getting along, doing things off the court, that's all great stuff that you have to do to be a great team, but it doesn't guarantee you're going to be a great team because there's other things that have to come along with it. But at the beginning of the year, to hear a group of McDonald's All-Americans, a group that includes the #1 recruiting class overall by far, sit there and talk about how much they like each other instead of how much you're going to get each other, how much they're fighting for playing time, how much this, that, and the other. All they want to do is talk about how great each other is and how this is. Yeah, I got this. This is who I'm going to have to play against and defend all year, and I'm going to have my work cut out for me. You love hearing that because at one point that's what's going to ensconce them as a team. Maybe now, maybe towards the end of the year, but it will happen.
You played on 2 national championship teams that the chemistry was incredible on both, but for different reasons. We can get into that in the second half because it really, really mattered. And that's why you got a pair of rings.
That's true.
20 seconds left. See what the white team can make happen here with 13 on the shot clock. Reeves pops out, good look, and he'll go to the free throw line. Dillingham got him. Turnabout's fair play.
That's one way to get yourself going from the three-point line.
And, because of that blue team defense here in an inter-squad game, Reeves is having to shoot that three-pointer a little quicker than he might like.
Then as opposed to how he would shoot it in a game because they are meaning what?
No, because the defense is right there.
Gotcha, okay.
He doesn't have a chance. He had on one shot a chance to settle and shoot, and you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Remember?
That's all I knew.
You remember?
It was like.
But no, you know how it is if you've got somebody coming at you versus a great screen that pops you loose the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. But then that question is, those are the shots that, all right, should he be taking then? Because if he's being contested, right, which you're saying he is, then those are the ones maybe you hold on to a little bit longer and let your game come to you. Because, again, we saw Dillingham do that early, get away from it, start to struggle, and then get back to it.
That's a fair question. Boy, Reeves barely got iron on that first one, so now the blue team wants a timeout.
Well, no one's had a substitute yet, so legs are probably getting a little jelly-esque.
Jelly-esque.
Jelly-esque,
Okay. White team 4 for 8 from the free throw line. Blue 5 for 7. Dillingham 4 for 5 for the blue team. Reeves has shot 5 free throws already, but he's only hit 2.
Let's call that an early problem we hope will be reconciled quickly during the season.
Yep. Antonio came off the bench last year 4 times to score 20 or more points. That's getting it done.
See what a benefit that is, too. Now, they may not have him coming off the bench this year to do that, but that's still a guy who knows how to score, and he can score from range, he can score from the paint. But there's some instant offense right there in number 12.
But he doesn't have to carry the team offensively.
Correct. Not
At least
anymore.
he shouldn't have to, in theory.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've seen so far from Dillingham, what we've seen from a lot of these guys, that it would be highly doubtful if he has to carry the team again this year points-wise, or even maybe doesn't even have to average 14.5. Wouldn't be bad, though.
That number's interesting, though, because the players before they went to Canada said, that guy averaged 14 points a game last year. He knows how to get it done.
It's
inside 10 seconds. Dillingham, back iron, and that's going to do it. Mitchell and Burks fighting for the rebound. And that's the end of half number 1 here at Truist Arena on the campus of Northern Kentucky. The blue team leads the white 54-41. There'll be a 15-minute halftime. And then we'll start right back up again, but we may see a running clock. And then we may see, they didn't tell us anything about format before the game began, but we may see some drills after that. But this crowd has shown up in almost full force. It's almost a full house here on the campus of NKU. Of autographs pregame. You signed a couple,
but not a bucket, though. But I didn't have 40-some-odd points in the national championship game either.
And whose fault was that?
Well, I'd like to blame my coaches and teammates, but I don't think that's fair.
Well, I mentioned that, though, in the first half about team chemistry.
Yeah.
And your 1996 team was as talented a college basketball roster as you'll ever see in the modern era. You'll never see one like that again because of the way kids only stay for one and done and that kind of thing. But you guys had to hammer out a kind of chemistry there. It was so competitive, different from the 98 team, which we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But that 96 team, it's a little bit like this one, and this was not nearly as talented, all due respect. But we're all wondering, how's Calipari gonna divide the minutes on this team, structure lineups, just as Pitino did in 96?
Well, and what did you get? Because you did that documentary with me. You interviewed all those guys about this exact topic.
And not a bad start to the second half for Rob Dillingham. Boy, Reeves, another good look. Finally got it to go.
The good thing about Reeves, though, having a game.
DJ Wagner, but look at the finish on that one. That guy's maybe 6 feet tall.
Maybe.
But he got some hops.
I mean, he looks a good, 1.5, 2 inches shorter than DJ?
That's why UNC wanted him, UCLA, Memphis, Louisville. Sheppard gets his own. 0 for 3 on this trip.
All right. Got a couple rebounds out of it.
Edwards all the way in. That's Thiero with a rejection. Mitchell wide open. And again, for about 10 minutes yesterday in practice, he shot from that exact spot on the floor.
He and a dude both did from the opposite ends, that exact spot, and made basket after basket.
Jordan Burks making a name for himself. Sometimes you wonder, is he the forgotten guy on this team? But he's not having it tonight.
Well, here's the thing. Do we even know who the forgotten guy might be on this year's team yet?
Jordan averaged 17 minutes a game up in Canada.
Dillingham just putting on a show. Now, look, here's the thing. It's going to get harder and harder for him. If he keeps making shots like that, getting another off-the-ball steal, that's 2 in a row for him. He keeps making shots like that. There's not going to be too many people going to have a problem with him putting up bad shots.
Average 15 points, 5 assists for overtime elite.
I mean, just the point guard ability on this team. I know they're young, but Reed can play it. DJ can handle the ball like it. Rob can play it. I mean, these guys, how are you going to keep these guys out of the paint?
Dillingham struggled with his shot up in Toronto, just 8 of 29. Didn't dish out 14 assists. But not a bad move there by DJ Wagner.
But to the point I was making, he struggled there. He's clearly not struggling right now.
No.
So it's just having the ability to put those games behind you.
He knows his next shot's going in. Good feed by Thiero. Excellent defense by Edwards as Burks thought he had her.
That's one of those, look, they're talking trash right now, and I love to see that too.
Yep.
That's one of those coach gets up and says, good offense, good defense. Went strong, got hung.
And as soon as he hit the floor, Edwards was in his ear. 12 to shoot. Dillingham on the move, the dish to Sheppard. Canada on the rebound for the white team. Here comes Wagner. Not a bad cut to the basket by Edwards, and he is rewarded by Wagner, and he rewards the crowd with another dunk.
Somebody might want to stop Rob Dillingham. Look, he can't help but smile running down the court. Nobody can get in front of him.
That quickness and speed absolutely on display. Dillingham now 31 points in 23 minutes. You do the math. Not in trouble there. Boy, Edwards basically dared him to shoot.
I like that shot from Adu. I do, because you want those guys taking those mid-range jump shot, but he was just as open from the three.
Yeah.
He improved his odds by a little bit, but he had an open three he should have taken first, I think.
What a look by Mitchell, and Edwards again rattles the rim.
And again, the unselfishness. This time from Trey, fifth-year senior, who has been there and knows, okay, it's about getting my teammates involved and not just about my own. It's fun watching this because, again, you hear these guys, they talk and talk and talk about how much they love each other, love playing against each other, competing against each other, but absolutely care about each other. And you get to see them play like this, and you're like, you know what? It looks that way.
Strong move by Burks. Couldn't get it to go, but got his own and drew the foul. It's hard to get a read, as I said at the very beginning, Cameron, on rebounding with this team because obviously the big guys are on the bench. But how many times did you hear John Calipari, really since the day he arrived, and every coach in America will say at one point, our guards really need to rebound better. Absolutely.
In a game like this, you kind of learn how, especially to rebound, not just in a vacuum, but rebound around other people, right? Not just let the ball come to you. You go get the ball, even if there are bigs that are going after it as well. And that's the one thing they'll miss here without their bigs playing. But there's enough height on this team and certainly strength on this team to make rebounding difficult for the guards. They got to go in and earn them.
Well, the white team made a run at the end of the first half, but couldn't get much closer than it is now, 13. Edwards fading. Wow.
Pretty shot by Edwards that time. I think he knew Thiero was coming under that screen. Wound up going the opposite direction.
Nice to see the left-hander drop him in the way our colleague, Mr. Givens, at the other end of the press table used to drop him in. Another contested shot there by Dillingham.
And that's where we get the bad shot that we don't need.
Reeves in. Wow. I was going to say in a different area code, but it wouldn't go. Edwards is really working hard here in the second half.
He really is. Let's go back to Dillingham, though, real quick, because, again, he's clearly on fire. But yet, again, we see a shot that we can get that shot at any point. He can get that shot at any point. We got to work the defense a little bit for something open.
That's Hart kicking to Thiero.
And just like that, extra pass, open three.
You heard Orlando Antigua yell rebound from the white bench, but there was none to be had, as you saw. Thiero drains another triple. That's Wagner.
And that's Thiero's third three, I believe, isn't it?
Sheppard all the way. Nobody guards the basketball.
Somebody's going to have to learn, whether it's Dillingham driving, DJ driving, anybody driving, somebody on that back row is going to have to step up and stop the ball.
Edwards now with 17. Not only has Thiero hit 3 triples, he's 3 for 4. Boy, Sheppard making life miserable for everybody defensively. Dish to Canada. That's his second bucket of the game.
I like the way Brennan's come out and just been ready to shoot the ball.
One of the sets they ran all day yesterday in practice had him in the corner. They were working on the dribble drive. So he's used to being down there. Inside 15 minutes. That's Joey Hart. Burks on the move. He has exerted himself here in the second half.
You start to see a lot of these guys kind of taking over offensively, but now you got to figure, all right, who's going to step up defensively and stop them?
Timeouts. We do not yet have a running clock. 14:08 left to play. 73-60. The Whites trailing the Blues. And I think we've seen some increased energy on both sides of the floor.
Well, I think you see it coming out of a halftime where, okay, you know these guys have come out and want to put on a show. I mean, this is different than what we saw at Madness. I mean, they're playing defense.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely playing it hard. But they're gonna exert themselves to the point where, look, you only got 5 guys. You have 0 subs. Your legs, about midway through 20 minutes of playing ball, even with stopped clock, your legs are going to start to grow a little weary, and that lactic acid's going to build up. Having a little break at halftime, you're going to come up with a little more energy. And then you know Cal was on them as well as your assistant coaches to bring more. Because it doesn't matter how much you bring. There's always apparently more.
If you can read body language and read lips, you could see that DJ Wagner is not happy right now. That his team is down 13. And Cameron, it's just a blue-white game.
Yeah.
But he is not happy.
Well, and that's the thing is you hope, and I believe, because just in conversations that you hear about him and with him, he just wants to win. I mean, it's not about points. It's not about, what he does. It's about what his team does. And he has said as much. And so being down the way they've been pretty much the whole game. I mean, this hasn't been less than 10 points in a while. So DJ trying to get his team fired up a little bit.
Antonio Reeves struggling tonight. 4 out of 15, 1 of 7 from beyond the arc for 13 points. Dillingham getting it done for the Blues to 31 points. A little more balance though on the White stat sheet with 4 in double figures. Edwards with 17, Wagner 14, Mitchell with 11. But it's been Dillingham and Thiero for the most part, although Burks now up to 13. He does have 5 fouls. He'll be staying in the game.
Right.
But Jordan Burks showing a lot of energy.
Well, if your coach says no one's fouling out, why not take full advantage of that? I still do. I look at that stat sheet and I see a Thiero with 18, 7 of 8 from the field. And as you said a few minutes ago, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds. This is not the same Thiero we had last year, and he's showing it now.
By the way, Trey Mitchell's bumped into double digits for rebounds with 11. So he's got a double-double tonight with 3 assists. I mentioned earlier that's one of the things I really liked about him in Canada.
Yeah.
Was his ability to pass out of the high post.
Yeah. Yeah, I like just, again, looking down the stat sheet, and you brought it out on the White team, just the consistency of the players scoring. Right, we've got 17 points, 11 points, 13 points, Canada with 5, and then Wagner with 14. But on the same time, you've got 31, 18, 13 for the the blue team.
Kind of a lazy pass. Dillingham thought he had a steal. White team 8 for 16 shooting here in the second half. Blue team 8 for 15. Both teams getting to the rim occasionally. That's Wagner. Took Sheppard inside. Edwards with a tip. You know, Wagner's tried to victimize Sheppard all night long, really.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. DJ Wagner can get past Reed, but Reed's hands are so good off and on the ball that you might be able to get past him, but he's going to, chances are, get a hand on the ball. Even if you control it, he's going to get a deflection, and that just makes things harder.
Dillingham gets inside and draws the foul. I talked about assist turnovers in Canada. Reed Sheppard, 23 assists, 7 turnovers in 4 games.
Which is just ridiculous. Again, every time we have a guard, anything above 3 to 1 assist to turnover, I'm always amazed because my coaches basically put that up as this is the standard and this is what we expect. But, you know, Anthony Epps got there a couple times. Wayne Turner got there a couple times, but we didn't see it a lot. Now you've got guys doubling, tripling that number.
Wow, uncharacteristically, Dillingham misses both free throws.
That's the legs.
Remains an 11-point game. Oh, yeah. That looked like it was going to be spectacular.
Have you noticed, though, how Jordan has just slowly, as this game has gone on, his confidence is growing, growing, and growing, and growing. It's one thing when it happens in practice, and it matters when it happens in practice. But all of a sudden, Justin Edwards, all of a sudden you see these guys just slowly starting to feel themselves like, no, I can do this, and then start to do it in front of a crowd, which they don't get to do in practice.
Well, that was what was impressive about him in the Global Jam, because Kentucky coming in with all these players, but this is the guy who has the most NBA draft potential, and people who were local or came up from the States to see the Global Jam, they had heard about Justin Edwards, obviously, but he didn't go out in the first couple of games and try to justify all that talk. He just let it come to him. There he is going for the steal on Sheppard, but they escape. Dillingham in full stride. Drew another foul.
It almost feels like Dillingham has 50, not 30. I feel like we're cheating him on a few here. You know, and every time Cal has come, as great as Dillingham's playing, I've seen Cal come on the court 3 times now just to talk to Rob Dillingham during a dead ball. Don't know what he's saying, don't know he's coaching, but he's taking the guy that's having the best game, and he's coaching him.
Right now on the sidelines, talking to DJ Wagner a moment ago. You see at the top of your screen, Tyler Eulis taking his seat on the bench right now. Graduate assistant coach. And
speaking of assist to turnover ratio records.
One of the greatest guards in the history of Kentucky basketball.
Dillingham now sitting with 32 points.
13-minute mark. 11-point game. And now it's under double digits thanks to DJ Wagner, so maybe what Tyler Eulis told him paid off. Eulis, one of the best defenders in all of college basketball in his 2 years at Kentucky. And
great up and under by Dew. That was an upperclassman showing an underclassman what's up.
And a guy who is maybe the strongest player on the team.
I'm not even sure it's a maybe. I think it's a definite display. Look at that up and under. That's Kevin McHale moves. Nobody in this arena even knows who that is except maybe you. And Jack Givens might know.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. Jack probably played against Kevin McHale.
Probably did.
Certainly did.
Confidence.
Edwards heating up. So is the white team.
The moment that basket starts to grow, it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
That was pure, and now it's an 8-point game. Edwards, 24 points, 10 out of 16. Sheppard, kicked away by Reeves. 15 to shoot. White team on a roll.
You can imagine, as much as this is a game and it is practice, how hard these guys have played. Just imagine what these practices have been like they've been going through the last few weeks.
Blue team has hit 4 straight shots. First miss in forever for the Blues, but there's Dillingham with a rebound and drew another foul. The reason the white team, though, has made this run is the blue team has missed free throws.
Yeah.
The white team itself has hit 3 of its last 3, and now a timeout on the floor inside 12 minutes. And again, no commercial breaks on our broadcast, and I'm not sure about our friends over on the radio side, but it's basically the same structure as a regular college game with
Kind of,
timeouts.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far
Talking
it
about
is.
the timing, yeah.
So far it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Cal most likely will interfere in that at any moment.
Look at the scratches on Trey Mitchell's neck.
Yeah.
They're trying hard.
Look, I mean, that's kind of the point, is that you and I were kidding beforehand about what I was going to say about this game, because you and I talk all the time, and I've told you, madness was kind of a burden for the players. The blue-white games were kind of a burden for the players. But it's kind of been encouraging, because that doesn't seem to be the attitude. It's not that we didn't go out and play hard or try hard, because we had coaches basically threatening our lives over whether or not we did or we didn't. But these guys, again, this is kind of what you see. The more you're around these guys, they just say and act the right way. They do the things the right way that you're sitting there thinking, okay, that's what I expect from a senior, not a freshman. And now you're seeing it from a lot of freshmen.
We talked about chemistry on the 96 team. The 98 team also won a national title, but so many of those guys on 96 had moved on to the NBA. But you had that core of seniors, Reed Sheppard's dad, Jeff,
right.
You, and Alan Edwards.
Correct.
Scott Padgett was an experienced player, so
Nazi Muhammad was still on that
absolutely.
team.
So that's a luxury now. That's almost
yeah.
unheard of now. But that team forged its own chemistry. And
yeah.
sadly, some of that was because you rallied around Alan Edwards, who lost his mom that season. But teams come together in a lot of different ways.
True.
For a lot of different reasons.
But here's the thing that I think is consistent, is one way or the other, you come together on the court if there is some sort of something or other on the outside of the basketball court that's bonding you, right? And it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the season, the end of the season. It doesn't have to be an event, but there's got to be something that makes you care about more than basketball, about more than your individual stats, even about more than winning. You got to care about each other. And the moment you start caring about each other and how many points you had, what kind of game you played, how is your mom, how is your dad, that kind of thing, all of a sudden, I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's one of those things where when basketball starts mattering less to you as a player, your teammates start mattering more, basketball starts happening better. It just does. Don't know why it is, but that's exactly what happened in 1998. All of a sudden, Alan's mom and Alan, his family's all we worried about, and that ball just started bouncing our way for the rest of the tournament.
But in that period he was gone, you guys were playing for him.
Well, and then when he got back, Shep was injured and started playing for him, and all of a sudden it was just about, all right, let's just be teammates.
Huge assist that year to Fast Eddie for bringing Shep back from that ankle sprain, the trainer. Antonio Reeves again in rhythm, just can't get him to fall. Here comes Dillingham. You don't want to look away when he's got the basketball. But Thiero left alone. That's the worst miss of the day for him, but just the second miss of the day.
The most open shot he's had, too,
Absolutely.
All right, now Antonio's struggling, but again, he's got the seniority to know that he's got to keep shooting, and that's so far what he's done. He hasn't second-guessed. He hasn't hesitated when he's got an open shot. He hasn't thought through, well, I've missed how many in this game, so I don't want to miss another one. He catches. If he's open, he puts it up. That's what Cal was yelling at his team yesterday in practice that he wanted to see. If you're open, you better be shooting or you're sitting on the bench next to me.
I know fans sometimes wonder, look, he's not making shots. He's cold. Why does he keep shooting?
Because shooters shoot until they're on.
Muscling it in, DJ Wagner, and the white team draws ever closer. Now, actually, still an 8-point game. White team needs stops. Blue team needs to get to the rim the way this young man has done, and almost a great feed. But now the white team, maybe fatigue taking over, tiring a little bit, fouling a little bit more.
Well, we definitely don't see a lot of the energy we saw in the first 5 minutes of the game. See some legs start to bend a little bit easier here, a little harder breathing, and definitely some hands on shorts.
Well, you've got the walk-ons on the bench.
Easy now.
Yeah.
There's a place for the walk-ons like me.
I'm not talking about you. You're on this side of the court.
Still love my walk-ons.
I'm just saying if they, absolutely, but if they want to give somebody a breather. But
that's the thing, though. Do you do that or you say, you know what, you got to suffer through it? Because in a game, what's going to happen?
Exactly.
You have to suffer through it.
Canada, speaking of walk-ons.
The most common word used in my 4 years at UK by both of my coaches was fatigue.
Not bothering that young man. Dillingham's got his legs. Rob Dillingham putting on a show tonight in Northern Kentucky. 38 points. Third triple of the night. He's also got 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
If Cal can just get him, and again, he's a freshman, so I don't know it's fair to expect him to get this so far, especially as easily as he scores the ball. But if we can get him just even when he's on these runs, don't force bad shots. Let the game continue to come to you because that's how you got these points in the first place. We've seen him take, 2 or 3 maybe, not too many, but 2 or 3 bad shots, and those can be run breakers, and that's what you don't want.
Wagner bags 2.
Look at Wagner's taking this personally too, and this is where that competitiveness comes in. He knows Dillingham's having a great game. Wagner's going to get back up in his face and try to stop him personally.
Joey Hart doing Joey Hart things. And a steal by Reed Sheppard. Dillingham on the move, dishing to Burks. Thiero battling inside, but that's Edwards dishing it off to Wagner. The Euro step results in a foul on the blue team. With some outstanding defense.
Well, can I show you? This is the one thing in that play that I love that we're going to see right here at the end if they show it on the replays. Watch who goes over to help him up. Someone from the white team, someone from the blue team. Sounds like such a small deal, but I used to rage about this all the time. The Duke Blue Devils were one of the best teams ever as far as when one of their teammates was knocked down and we had a dead ball, all 4 guys on the court would race over and try to be the first one to help him up. And I love that. As far as okay, that's showing what a team should be, is that you did what you should do. That's why you're on the floor. I'm going to help you up. And that's the kind of stuff I'd love to see from not just this team, but every Kentucky team. Because it's just the attitude of you did what's right. You're my boy. We're going to help you up. It's such a small thing, but it makes such a big difference.
Teammates helping each other up. That's not new. But all 4 racing in. Do you think that's a Coach K thing?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely I do. Because it was every year. It didn't matter what year.
Yeah.
And it was a full sprint to the man on the court.
Well, there were Dean Smith things that the Tar Heels did. Teams had their little trademark routines.
You talking about 4 corners? Didn't everybody hate that though?
Too, yeah. Dillingham trying to dish to Joey Hart downstairs. 10-point game again. Joey Hart, by the way, won the dunk contest on Madness Night. And his teammates raced out onto the court to congratulate him. 15 to shoot. Dillingham. That's the dish. Jordan Burks.
When you've got 38 points and you're driving the lane, what happens? Every defensive player has to run to you. Dillingham making the right decision right there and gets another assist.
Dish to Canada. Look at Reeves inside. We talked about finding different ways to score when your shot's not falling.
Yeah, well, and those are always the things that help you. All of a sudden, that outside shot starts to fall. The free throw starts to fall as soon as you get those easy shots in.
Thiero drives and draws the foul, avoids the charge. And by the way, we haven't seen any charges tonight. I don't know that we will, but that's a rule change I can't wait to see in play in college basketball this year. Timeout on the floor inside 8 minutes. 89-77, the blue team back up on top by 12. The white team had cut it to 8. Had a couple more opportunities.
What's this rule change? I want to hear about this.
About how the charges are called. You're not going to see as many, let's put it to you this way.
Yeah.
You're not going to see as many cheap charges called. You're going to see a lot more blocks.
But that's the only way I got charges called.
I can't help you there, Hoss.
The cheap ways.
But see, you're forever frozen in the record book. So you don't need to worry. They can't take those away from
those charges, those 2 charges
I
had?
They cannot. Was that the total of 2 or 2 in one game?
Here's the deal. That's a 2-in-1 game, but it was a total of 2 as well. That's my only response when someone reminds me of how poor my defense was in college. I'm like, well, I did get 2 charges against Florida.
And if somebody says that to you, you can always say, and you know what? That was in Division I basketball.
Right. Against Jason Williams.
My buddy Doug Flynn, I think, had 12 career home runs. People tease him about that. He goes, you know what? They were all in the major league.
Yeah, well, not only that, but he got a few gold gloves, if I'm not mistaken, and a few rings, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
A couple of World Series rings.
12, what'd you say, 12 home runs? For the Reds and the Mets.
Doug, forgive me if that's wrong.
For the Reds and the Mets. So let's we're not
Reds,
playing AA, AAA.
Mets, Expos, Rangers, Tigers.
That's what I said. I got all those in there. I just included the important ones.
Well, I've worked with Doug for so long. I've got so many of those.
My favorite thing is
bits
Doug.
Of info burnished in my brain.
Doug constantly wants to remind me that he played basketball at Kentucky.
He did.
And now he played on the freshman team, played for Coach Rupp. But when he and I get together, and Doug and I have known each other for years, since I was honestly in 7th grade, Doug wants to remind me that he had to guard Dad in practice, and then just tells me how Dad just completely ate him up. And I love hearing that because I saw Dad play.
I did too.
He had a few, his job was to guard Pete Maravich when he played. You don't need him scoring a lot of points.
Talk about the short straw. Man.
You can go to YouTube and see I think it's 1970 game down in LSU, down in Baton Rouge. Maravich has like 70. Issel has 40. Dad has like 16. Kentucky wins by 40.
Oh, yeah.
Because they always did. Maravich would go off, but Kentucky would always win by 40 points. Yep.
Never beat him.
But you have never seen anything like the people. Because it wasn't just Dad. It was Jim Dinwiddie who played, trying to guard this guy named Pistol Pete Maravich, who was taking
great
30.
Mike Pratt used to talk about Maravich. He tried to guard him. And he said people don't realize Maravich was a better passer than he was a shooter, which made him doubly dangerous.
Exactly. And this is before the three-point line. He's putting up 60, 70 points. And he was taking a lot of 35-footer fadeaways just because he could make them.
Coming up on 7 minutes, Wagner trying to find room to operate, so just makes his own shot.
You made the point earlier about Wagner's, let's say his attitude in the huddle, that they were getting beat. And so it's like, okay, single-handedly now. But here's the thing, what great players and leaders do is you can't do it on your own. You got to get your team involved, and that's what he was trying to do on the bench, is let's go.
Wagner's been trying to guard Dillingham most of the night. There's Thiero inside. Trey Mitchell rips it down. Back to Wagner. Rather, that's Reeves. Finds his way to the rim.
Again, just play with confidence no matter what you shoot. No matter what you shoot, just keep shooting. Keep playing.
17 now for Reeves. Said back-to-back shots for the first time tonight. Knocked away by Sheppard, but called for the foul. And there's those quick hands again.
Yeah. We used to talk about it all the time. It's one thing, because one thing I was terrible at was keeping my man in front of me, right? The perimeter defense. Whoever I was guarding, could I keep him on the perimeter? And I had to rely way too much on my teammates back behind me on the help defense. But the one thing that you could learn to do, because I could learn to be faster, but you could learn to get better with your hands. You could learn to get to deflections, and it was preached to us constantly. You want to mess up a defense or an offense, you just get your hand on the ball at some point, and it's going to get them out of their flow.
Burks makes it a 10-point game again. He was good for 4 points and 4 rebounds per game up in Canada. Blocked a total of 4 shots. Edwards got hot for a little while there, and now is called for the travel. Edwards almost single-handedly pulled the Whites back into this game.
I don't know that we're going to get a running clock here.
Doesn't look like it.
We're going to play through this.
Calipari wants to see everything he could see.
They used to say it doesn't matter if you start the game, it matters who finishes.
Blocked by Wagner. Canada on the run out, the dish to Mitchell. Well, the first dunk didn't quite go down, but Edwards with a cleanup.
You don't see too many follow-up dunks on a dunk.
Back to an 8-point game.
I mean, you remember that old saying, though, about who starts a game
Yeah.
and how it matters? This is why it doesn't matter, because it's who's in the game 5 minutes left with a 10-point lead.
But everybody's still in the game.
Well, that's true. I'm talking about in a normal circumstance
That's right.
where you're using your bench.
That's right.
And you've got 5 guys over there who've also broken a sweat.
Reeves picked his pocket, but Burks with a loose ball and draws the foul. That looked like it was going to turn into a run out for the white team, but it took a nasty turn. And now the Blues with a chance to put it back up by 10.
I like the way Jordan that time, as he goes to the lane, I mean, he went into the body of the defender, which I think was it Trey? Went into Trey's body and basically forced the official to make a foul call.
And one of the fans walked out onto the floor. Look at that. Oh, no, that's John Calipari.
Just don't think he'd be allowed to do that in a real game.
Oh, he's done it.
Oh, no, I know. but
he
I don't think he was allowed to.
He paid the price.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're right, though, about energy.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing hard into the last 4 minutes.
Well, they've got the guy who decides their minutes sitting over there on the floor.
That's right.
So,
but yeah,
but let's see how they finish this.
Yeah, the legs may be getting a little wobbly.
They should be, honestly. I mean,
Sure.
they should be.
Wagner draws the foul. Burks may have drawn number 8.
That's true. It's the one thing. The one thing that I was taught is that if you come out of the game and you're not forced, and Coach Patino would always say this, I don't have to take you out. That means you're not working hard enough.
Yeah.
You should be exhausted when I pull you out of the game. If you're not, then I'm not putting you back in.
Well, the way that team and his teams played full court, he sort of ran you guys like you were on a hockey shift.
Well,
you go as hard and fast as you can,
Yep.
and then we'll come get you.
Right? Yeah.
But you had the depth to do that.
This
one team might have that kind of depth.
It could. It definitely kind of looks like it now, because even though we're not seeing any of our bigs, boy, we're seeing a lot of good stuff from the 1, 2s, and 3s.
And now the maestro himself takes the microphone.
Or are we going to change?
Now they're going to cut the music. We'll see.
Folks, appreciate you being here for a good cause, East and West Kentucky. Our players are going to kind of stick around and walk around and do pictures and autographs for you after, so they will be there. They just played a full game with like no breaks.
That may be it.
They gave you everything they had. They have nothing left.
I think Calipari recognized the fatigue.
We got the best fans on earth are the BBN. Thank you.
Well, if indeed that is it, he is right. They gave it their all.
Are they? Let's see. Surely they're going to play this last 324.
Let's see if they do. I think maybe he was.
I guarantee DJ Wagner wants this.
Maybe he was saying, "Don't leave."
Right. I think
This
so.
is
When the
it.
horn sounds, yeah, be prepared. See, I like that.
Yeah.
And we got to see that firsthand last year.
Yep.
Down in Pikeville at the same game when, I mean, and the best part about that, not only was that he told the fans, hey, look, these guys are going to be around. They're staying for you. You and I, as soon as we were off the air, we were jetting, right? And we couldn't get out because there were so many fans and so many players
amazing.
Just hanging out, talking, taking pictures, smiling. I mean,
well, you signed a few as well.
But you know what I did? And this is one of my biggest regrets. My freshman year, I was so miserable because of the leap between high school and college, right?
Right.
And because I was getting yelled at all the time by my coach.
No.
Yeah, it happens a lot. But I was miserable. And so if you go back and look at the pictures I took with fans my freshman year, I am never smiling. I am never smiling. And it makes me sick to my stomach when I see those pictures. Because I remember how awful I felt emotionally, mentally, every which way. But then I think about those poor fans. They must have just thought I was the biggest rear end in the world.
Well, if you're out there and you got a Cameron Mills photo.
Oh, I've seen them. I know they have them.
Freshman year, understand it wasn't you, it was him.
Yes, it was. Well, technically it was my head coach, but still.
Now we got some subs coming in.
There we go.
Grant Darbyshire on the white team, number 13. Kareem Watkins, who's DJ Wagner's brother.
Walker Horn.
Walker Horn checking in. Well, talked to his dad at halftime. That was fun.
You had to know Walker was going to get some minutes. Look at DJ's eyes. Look at this. He's not happy.
No.
And you know what? I love that he's not happy.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if this is blue-white. Doesn't matter if it's practice. Doesn't matter He's not happy.
He's thinking, how are we going to make up 10 points in 3.5 minutes?
That's exactly right.
For the white team at the free throw.
And that kind of competitiveness, that's not every player.
Well,
it wasn't me.
Didn't they tell you in your conversations how competitive the pickup games were?
DJ himself was the one that said that the most, is how competitive. And yet talked about and he pointed this out, when it is over, we're boys again.
Yeah.
But he even said, we'll throw hands in practice.
25 for Wagner. Make it, leave it at 25. Oh, Edwards almost got himself another one. Here comes Thiero.
The ball handling.
Well, he used to be a guard. Burks posting up inside on Edwards, but couldn't get the basketball. Now comes that high. Down the lane he goes, left hand.
Wow.
How about a Thiero with a clean up?
Well, I'm hung up on the Euro step that should be illegal, but I like the dunk too.
An 11-point game again. You're just jealous. Hey, look who's got the basketball.
They get an extra step. Oh, that's a little finger roll. We got yelled at every time we took a third step. These guys are encouraged to.
Dillingham 38. Can he get to 40? Can he get to 40?
I'm surprised he's not already. Actually, according to this, he is at 40.
Oh, it just turned. Yep. You're right.
Yes, he can.
Easiest rebound Reed Sheppard got all night. Coming up on 2 minutes.
This is what I love. They're gonna try to get Walker a shot.
Unless
like I said, they're going to try to get Walker a shot.
Well, I mean, Burks.
I mean, look, if you run a play that purely and you get a wide open layup, I mean, you can't fault him for running it through. Well, I will say this. You and I, we got more of a game today
Absolutely.
than we thought we were going to get. We were kind of warned / told earlier that it might be some 4-on-4 because of some injuries, and again, all the bigs that are sitting out. But we got to see a good idea of what this team's going to have this year, especially obviously from the 1, 2s, and 3s.
Inside 90 seconds. Mitchell posting, and he'll get to the free throw line. And
really,
you didn't like that?
The call?
Oh.
No.
Wait a minute.
The fadeaway.
If you were shooting,
went up to contest,
and got knocked on the elbow.
He didn't get knocked on the elbow.
You'd fall to the floor screaming.
I'd like to see a replay on that if we could, please.
3-point play for Trey.
First of all, I did fall to the floor screaming many times, but that didn't always lead to the right call.
I rest my case. A little bit of a mismatch there, Dillingham versus Darbyshire, but it's a Thiero inside. And clock's running, so that may do it. Just for football, you'd say they could play one more play, but
didn't get to see that.
They're going to let a shoot it.
Yep. They just showed the replay, though. I don't think it was a foul.
Okay. What a night for Thiero. 10 out of 13, 26 points, 9 rebounds. And yet it's a distant second to Dillingham's 40.
So if you're going to pick an MOP of this game, who do you pick?
Oh, yeah. Hey, how about that? Grant Darbyshire knocks one in at the buzzer.
A bank shot at that.
And then makes the final blue 100, white 89. And kids, don't forget to use the backboard. It's there for you.
But not that way.
It is there for you.
Not from the straight-on angle.
And now the fans who stuck around will get T-shirts if they're lucky enough to haul one in. And they'll get some autographs as well. As Northern Kentucky, the region, Northern Kentucky University itself turns out for the blue-white game for the first time in UK basketball history. Everybody here got a chance to Norse up and see the Kentucky Wildcats, who, if nothing else, Cameron, have shown they are going to be exciting to watch.
You know what? That's true. I mean, every year we hear something about a team, one of Cal's teams, right? This team can shoot. This team's going to run. This team's big. This team's tough. Whatever it is. This team, I mean, for the last few years, what I hear more and more than anything is that this team can shoot, and yet I don't know that any of them we could honestly say could shoot the way this team can, this particular Kentucky team, because it's not just one player. It's more than 3 or 4 players that have the confidence to step out and without thinking about it, they got open shot, they're going to take it. And just having that, think about what that does to a defensive team that has got to guard 4 guys at least, maybe 5 depending on who's on the court, but they got to come out and respect that perimeter.
Well, you know what else is interesting is Kentucky, this team, this collection of backcourt players, has some matchup nightmares. When you've got a guy with the size and the strength of a DJ Wagner in the backcourt, you've got multi-talented Reed Sheppard, and then you've got the quickness, the lightning speed of Rob Dillingham. I mean, how do you account for all these people?
Well, that's the thing, and that's why it's so important that Rob, if he continues to play at that level, which there's no indication that he wouldn't, but that he learns how to not just go after his, but pass the ball, because it's so important. The way he gets in the lane, the way we see DJ get in the lane, the way Reed can get in the lane, these, what do you want to call them, 1s, 2s, point guards, shooting guards, whatever, they've got the ability to one-on-one break their man down off their dribble and get him on his heels. And then they all know the smartest thing to do now is I put him behind me. So it's nothing but me against 4 other guys, and each of those 4 guys have somebody guarding them. Somebody's going to have to come guard me.
You've also got the strength of a Thiero. You've got to account for Antonio Reeves. And we saw Justin Edwards for one stretch tonight, Cameron, do what he did north of the border, and that's take over.
Yes, absolutely. And we saw a lot of takeover. And the one thing we didn't, as great as this was, the one thing we didn't get to see, the 4s and 5s, but they're coming.
Stay tuned, as we say. Thanks so much to all of you for being with us here tonight. Thanks to our producer, Will Warfield. Thanks to my partner, Cameron Mills. Hope everybody has a great weekend, what's left of it. And we will see you soon as the Wildcats get ready to open up